Guys, listen, if Thursday's not enough for you, if the Sly Guy podcast on a Thursday doesn't satiate your hunger for me, you can get bonus content. And I didn't realize I scratched my nose saying bonus. You can get bonus content at www.patreon.com/Sly Guy podcast. Had to rub mustache hair out of my actual nasal passage there. But you can get bonus content there. We've got guest episodes. We've got early release episodes. We've got the extra Sly Guy podcast. We've got some vlogs. We've other bits and bobs. There's going to be a big overhaul in the next couple of weeks of Patreon. We're going to change some shit up. We're going to get some shit done. We're going to get some shit out. And we're going to keep shitting all over at patreon.com/Sly Guy podcast. As is the way of the world, the Sly Guy podcast is brought to you in association with Modest Beer. Modest Beer is a delicious, nutritious, tasty, wasty, beery, weary, yummy, yummy in my tummy alcoholic beverage made by Modest, because Modest or Modest Beer would be weird if they were made by anyone else. But Modest is great. Modest is the best, and I stand above it, above the rest. And if you want to get some Modest into your life, you go to their website, get your computer, go www.modestbeer.co.uk, where you can see the range of beers that they have. You can acquire some of their merch, or you can just see what's happening with Modest. You can subscribe to their brews letter, which is kind of like a newsletter, but it's all about their brews. Wow. That's not only tremendous wordplay, but it's just a tremendous way to learn about Modest Beer. And if you think learning about Modest Beer just isn't enough, you're like, oh, I don't want to learn about it. I want to consume it, and I want to consume it at less than the recommended retail price. Well, guess what, baby girls and boys? Papa Daddy-O's got a reduction in price for you by using the discount code SLYPA15. That's right, SLYPA number 1 number 5. SLYPA15. It's along the bottom here if you don't believe me. SLYPA15 gets you 15% off at the checkout. SLYPA15 for 15% off your Modest Beer.
I'm the Sly Guy.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Sly Guy podcast. You know what, before I start, I just want to take a moment to say a couple of things to you guys, the listeners, the watchers, whoever it is out there that's either listening or viewing what's happening right now. First of all, I want to say the Sly Guy podcast is available on all platforms. You can rate and review it if you listen on Apple Music. If you listen on Spotify, you can do all that stuff. You can subscribe as well, which would massively help the podcast. You know, if you liked it, you subscribed it, you get the podcast in your inbox every week. And if you fancy listening, you can listen. Bingo, subscribe here on YouTube as well. Support the channel. It'll help the podcast grow. And listen, I love you guys. That's from the bottom of my heart. I'm genuinely saying it, that I just want to thank everybody who came to my roleplay show at the Wall Garden in Bangor by the Sea. Genuinely, without like joking or being silly, that was my favourite gig of my life so far. To play to a full room of people who really appreciated the show made my wee day. You know, there was a lot of pressure making sure it was to a level that I wanted it to be. I was delighted. So thank you very much to everyone that came to see it. Hopefully there should be some more roleplay shows towards the end of the year, because I'm happy with where the show's at, and I feel like I'd like to take a wee mini tour. But again, thank you to everyone who bought tickets to the Wall Garden. That was my probably most personal gig to date, you know, the one that meant the most to me, I think, the one that had the most riding on it, and it paid off. So again, thank you to every single one of you who came to the show. I love it. I appreciate you. Thank you to Open House for running it. And you know what? Let's do it again, guys. It was that much fun. Let's do it again. Not that it's agreed or arranged, but let's do it. You know, it was fun. Aside from that, we have another great episode this week. My guest on the Sly Guy podcast this week, it's Alan Irwin. Alan is a comedian. He's a writer. He's an actor. And he is one of the stalwarts of the local scene. He's somebody who I, in my personal opinion, feel he's a bit underappreciated. You know, I think Alan is a fantastic comedian. He's a great guy. Loved having him on. Just loved shooting the shit. You know, we spoke about fun things that I like to talk about, like wrestling and North Down, two of my favourite things. And that's what we talked about for the majority of the episode, me trying to force Alan to move into the kingdom of North Down, which I wouldn't just let anybody, by the way. I wouldn't just let any old Tom, Dick or Alan join, you know, the North Down world order. So, you know, he's a lucky man. But it was a great episode, a lot of fun, silly, of course. And it was just what you get on another episode of the Sly Guy podcast with me, Davey, and my guest this week, Alan IR Win. Alan Irwin, that's, I don't know, I thought it maybe sounded bad, didn't. It's Alan Irwin, alright? Enjoy the episode.
Do I need to speak into a particular part of the mic?
No, these babies are great.
They're very high end. They're very high end compared to mine, certainly. Yeah.
Do you know what though? It's taken me many moons to accumulate this. Because this is a come on yourself around. You can see yourself now, can't you?
Oh, I can't.
There you go. This is
That's actually the worst thing about this.
This is a self-funded endeavor. This podcast.
Right. I see. And microphones are
these
dear.
Yeah, you said these
you can't swear on this, right?
You can.
Yeah.
These
fucking
fucks,
right.
These fucks are there. These fucking fuckers. Yeah, they are. You can't say the N word though. I forbid that.
Oh, nincompoop. That's my favorite.
I know. There you go.
Hey.
Bleep it, Ben. But yeah, these are they pick up sound well.
Well, they're beautiful.
However, if you, like Psychic Glenn is a regular contributor to the podcast, and he's very fond of banging the table.
I'll make sure not to do that.
So if you're feeling strong, chatting about whatever we're chatting about, just don't punch.
One thing you will need to be mindful of: I'm a jiggler.
A jiggler?
Yeah, you know,
I
like
yeah.
My leg, so if you notice anything shaking,
yeah.
I watched back myself on our wee podcast at the weekend there. I skimmed through it, and I was like, oh yeah, it's really distracting that my leg never sits still.
But the good thing is you're under the table now, so.
Yeah, but I might shake the table.
The whole thing, yeah. Like I'm a bit self-conscious now too. I got bitten on the head at the weekend by some sort of. I only found.
You don't already get that gigging in Bangor. What? Somebody bit you?
Yeah, but it was in a tent, so they lost their run themselves.
Tent. People don't know where they are. Then
too much Bollinger. People, you know, can lose their run. But yeah, I got bit on the head, and it's gross because now I only recently found out that the name of the little flies that bite you is not called slag, it's a clag. So I
didn't even know it was either of those.
Yeah,
like you mean like a horsefly kind of thing.
Yeah, so I was like I got bitten by this slag, and Catherine was like, "Excuse me." I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you mean a clag?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And she's like, "You can't say slag. That's oh yeah, I probably shouldn't."
That's a very different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like if you go into your wife and be like, "Oh, I got bit by,"
they might bite you if you ask.
Yeah, they'd have a problem, but. It got, and then like I felt, oh, I've got something on my head here, and when I moved at a certain angle, I looked like one of the eggheads. It just swollen right up, and then like the next day, it was just like I could feel like this treacle from my head.
Oh
just
no!
This like drizzling down the side of my head, this little trickle of something, and it was just pus out of whatever this.
Yeah, I've had that. I had a. Am I going to talk about this? Years ago,
this is what we're here for.
I had a cyst on my hip for years, just a wee small cyst, and then whatever happened after about 5 years,
like
it just swelled up like that and burst.
And did it burst under your watch, or did you go?
Yeah, well, I rolled over in bed and woke up and it had burst.
How pussy was it?
Well, I had to go to the doctor 3 times a week for a month to get it redressed, and every time, like, I mean, this is so gross. I'll never forget going into the bathroom, taking the dressing off, and like a probably like a golf ball sized pus ball just fell to the floor. It was truly horrific. I bet you're really glad you invited me.
Was it? But I don't know what it is. I found like I got this spot once, and I only discovered it when I was wiping my bum, and it just I think
was it on your bum or
it was on my like inner leg. Like
the back. They're the worst.
And when I burst that, it was like
that's probably an ingrowing hair.
Oh my god, it was glorious.
Do you shave the thighs?
You know what? No, I don't. I think I need to start looking at that.
Well, then that's not what. Yeah, because usually you get an ingrown hair from shaving too much.
But then again, I do get a wee bit of chafage going on, so there could have the
hair. Oh yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah,
could be done that way. So yeah, it was a. But then I was like, I enjoyed that experience. Now I don't like looking at pus or other people see Dr. Pimple Popper, all that stuff.
Yeah, sorry about anybody who's listening that we've upset by all this talk of pus.
Because speaking of pus and gross thing, I was listening to something on a podcast recently, watching it on my laptop while I was eating breakfast, and I had to stop because it was something gross. So if you're eating your breakfast or your dinner or something, I apologise.
Yeah, this is not for you right now.
But did you get any enjoyment out of the squeeze? Was it, or was it just too painful? Was there a head? Could you have seen the head before it burst?
Yeah, well, it was just red, really red.
Okay.
And very painful. And then we used my wife, then girlfriend, use like a poultice. You know, so you put bread in hot water and then put it on it, and it like draws it out.
Yes.
But then that made it worse because then that night I rolled over and
it burst.
But don't want to be really gross, but like in that quantity it smells.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So it's not a pleasant. But Manuka honey was a godsend. I'll tell you that.
Did it go on it or just
directly? Well, both.
Why not? Say, like, it's just relaxes
one for you, one for me. Delicious.
Oh, that is because I love a good pop. Like, because this didn't pop because we Clegg just whatever it did just made my skin around my head just like.
Oh, that's the first time I've actually seen it.
See, just like
that'll clear up all right.
It needs
as
to.
A man who had severe acne as a teenager, that'll clear up all right.
But I don't know what, like, I have this afterbite pen that you put because whenever the wee like mosquitoes get you or whatever from holiday, so put that on. But there's ammonia in that, and that was really sore. It
would be, yeah,
really,
it would be.
Really stinging.
It would really.
It's like no,
and you have to go like, oh, that smarts a wee bit, while inside you're crying.
Yeah, it was a very stinging. But now, I needed to heal for. I'm doing a wee thing next week that there'll be people poking in and around my head. I don't want to have this for that.
God, Lavery's has really gone off the rails, hasn't it?
What you need to do to get 10 in there?
Oh, I'm telling you.
But yeah, I need to.
I had to do much worse actually, so I really shouldn't go into that.
But did you need Sudocreme for it? Because that's what I'm going to use on this.
Not from my head.
Oh, you know another thing too. I learned. I don't know whether it was Sudocreme I used. I got something on my face, some sort of makeup or something.
Right.
And I put Sudocreme on to get it off. No, what was it? And it was Astral I was supposed to use, but I put Sudocreme on my whole face, and then it stung. I didn't like it.
No.
So if anyone wants to put Sudocreme in their whole face, don't do it. It's not worth it.
No, that's PSA. Don't do that.
Alan Irwin's in the podcast, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, yeah.
Because what's funny about this particular podcast is that usually I say to people, listen, I'm going to hit record and we'll be off to the races. Mm-hmm. You never know where it's going to go, how it's going to start. But we have, and we're off. And
well, actually, also we specifically said we were going to talk about something else, and then we just talked about pus for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but listen, that's what happens. You get a couple of guys like us just going to talk about pus, and that rhymes.
Pus.
Yeah.
Very pussy. Don't get that confused with something else, because that is very much not my vibe.
No, what we were talking about beforehand was I was saying that I've joined the gym because I got photographs back of myself, and
I think you look good. I've always thought, you know what I mean, you wear it well. Funny enough, am I going to tell you this? Yes.
Go ahead.
One time, so I have several friends who are in lesbian relationships, but were straight when I met them.
Yes.
Right.
Is there some sort of study done to work on the correlation of the friendship?
I'm so off-putting that they go, I never want to be near another man, in that way. So basically, you look at me, you just think about an awful penis, you know. So
I'd imagine like a witch's finger, you know, ones you used to get back in the day.
No,
clear ones.
I say awful just in the sense of like it's just mine, you know. It's like you could give me the most beautiful willy in the world, but it's attached to me, and you're like, it's vaguely upsetting.
Yeah, but no, I remember mine. Nice stiff one. The older I've got, the longer the balls I've got, and I think there's a pulley effect going on there. And it's,
Jesus Christ,
you know.
Well, they do say if you lose 2 stone, you gain half an inch.
Well, here's the 7 that I need to get rid of to see my penis.
So,
you know, my penis is like a tremor. You know, you need to tap around the area and hopefully it'll come to the surface. That's all we can do.
Like a mole rat?
Yeah, the naked mole rat.
Jesus Christ.
This is not where we discussed this.
So I was asked, you know, if I had to go gay.
Yes.
Well, you know, and I was like, I don't know. And I went, no, pick a comedian. And I was like, I feel like the cuddle with Dave would be very nice after. You know?
I enjoy that. I you know what? I'd appreciate that. That's nice.
No, it's like, I just think you're a husky guy, but you wear it well. You know.
You know,
you're tall enough to be husky. You can't be. I'm 5'7". You can't be 5'7" and husky.
Yeah.
Then you're just a fat guy.
Yeah.
Aye. Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
But my problem is now that
maybe I should get my hole out more.
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, I mean Mickey does it.
Yeah,
I have a nice bum.
You know what? It's one thing I do not have is a nice bum. I've no bum at all.
Well, that's my only thing is that I have a nice bum.
Like a juicy bum. Can you bounce the cheeks?
Oh yeah. I would say I'm a solid 8 in the back. Like,
imagine you just put on a pair of hot pants and video it up close, and then that.
Well, see, this is the other thing.
That could be your promo video for the next. And then you zoom out and it's you.
Me, see, I've got great calves as well. Like if I shave my legs, stuck about a fake tan on, you'd be like, those are good women's legs.
Yeah, well, I mean,
so and a nice woman's arse.
But that should be the name of the podcast, a nice woman's arse.
Nice woman's arse. There we go.
To see how people like, or what audience we draw into this episode, a nice woman's arse.
And they're like, with Alan Irwin?
I mean, that's a line.
First of all, they'll be like, who's Alan Irwin?
A nice woman's arse with Alan Irwin. I mean, that sounds like a
That's my UTV show coming next year. Lesser Spotted Archer.
Yeah, fun afternoon show.
I fucking hate Lesser Spotted Archer. You know?
Yeah, I mean, but how many series is it on? It must be about 19.
Well, it's called something else now, isn't it? It's like
who's the guy that hosts
Joe
it?
Mahan.
Yeah,
nothing against him personally, but I just associate it with Wednesday afternoon in primary school when the teacher didn't want to teach you anymore. They just make you watch that.
Stick this on,
and you're like, I'm in Dunarm. You're like, why?
But there's not so many places he could be going still now.
Surely not.
You'd imagine so.
Visiting Dromore, like what's no disrespect to Dromore, but also a little bit of disrespect to Dromore.
Like where do you like, as you're somebody who is from a place that I've thrown a lot of shade over the years, yeah. And do you want to have 5 minutes to defend the honour of Lisburn? Are you happy?
You're fucking joking. I live in Belfast now. I live in East Belfast now, which is basically just like Lisburn's just like Protestant East Belfast dialed down a little bit. Yeah. You know,
what part of the East are you?
Woodstock,
nice.
So the nicer end of it, like, but it's all right. Actually, we're thinking that we're hoping to buy pretty soon, and we're thinking Bangor.
Listen,
because I work in Bangor as well, so that'll be perfect. You know,
I need to sell Bangor.
I love that. You don't need to sell to me. I fucking love Bangor.
We're having a discussion during the weekend there, and I think someone asked me, "He's like, are you the only comedian from Bangor?" And I said, "I think so." Actively at the minute, I believe so.
I can't think of anybody else, yeah.
But what I would like would be to create some sort of stable of comedians in Bangor. And
like the NWO?
Like the NWO, yeah. But I mean, what would a Bangor stable be called?
Oh God, that's going to be difficult. I'll have to think about that. That will come to me.
But I would like to. You would be somebody that I would welcome into the. I was going to say my brood of Bangor, but
the brood, the Bangor brood.
I mean, us at the long hole.
Do we come up shirts like the brood, like through the stage with flames? And
we'd have to come up from the sea. So it wouldn't.
Well, the flames wouldn't work then, would it? No, that's not going to work.
You would have to do the reverse and then do a reverse edit of us coming up. You know.
I always think. And the Brood, for anybody who's not familiar, were like a vampire group in WWF in the 90s. And I remember the first time they ever spoke, Gangrel had vampire teeth, but they were too big for his mouth. So he's like, we could not talk because it was forbidden. It's like horrible. Just killed him immediately.
But he also, do you remember the game? What was it? There was Attitude, and there was one before
Warzone.
Do you remember in Warzone, they, like, as a taunt, they would say like one thing. Each wrestler would say one thing. Gangrel's was blood is thicker than water. I just remember doing that, and then I love Gangrel. See just for the entrance.
There's a guy. Did you go? He was in Belfast not that long ago wrestling.
I didn't see that.
Like about 18 months ago. You'd have loved that. You could have got your photo with him.
You know what? This is the thing that I like when people are like talking about podcast guests and people you like to have on. I love wrestlers. I would love to have.
Oh yeah.
Like one of genuinely.
You had Big Demo, didn't you?
Big Demo, yeah. Have I sent you that to listen to?
I've listened to it.
Yes.
Good lad. I'm a fan of the pod.
He was great.
Well,
you know?
he is my favourite tweet that's evergreen in wrestling.
Okay.
Which is, people were like, why are wrestlers keep tweeting these awful opinions? And he goes, some wrestlers are just fucking idiots. I don't know what to tell you. And it's like, and you just people quote that all the time now to be like, this is why he's saying something awful on Twitter.
But you know what was funny about Big Demo too? See, when he came in, I had known of his body of work. You know, known he's like, and
Big Killian Dane.
But see, when he was here, never have I done a podcast with anybody. It's been the first time that I've met somebody and gone, I'd like to be your friend.
Oh yeah.
Like, say afterwards, I'm like, I consider.
Is that only because we're already friends?
Yes, but like he was because you know yourself, if you're meeting someone for the first time, it can be very awkward.
Of course, yeah, especially when you're like interviewing them, you know.
Yeah, but he was just great, and then I left him out. I think I left him out for dinner with his mate afterwards. So I was like, I'm going that way. Do you want to have a? So it was myself and Big Demo in a Ford Fiesta. It was quite the work that old car was doing that day, but it was it was great. I loved him. So listen, Demo, if you're out there listening.
Big fan.
Oh, and you know what? It's another thing as well. The guy is jacked.
Oh, do you know what it is? It's that thing in wrestlers where because wrestlers are all so big.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them you think, oh, he's just kind of like a lean guy, and then you see them in person, and you're like, oh yeah. Beside normal people, you're a monster.
Yeah. No, but he's just great.
Big hairy back and all.
And I love that.
But he's rock. I mean, I don't really rock the hairy back as well as he does. You know.
But you know, also I had hair at the time when he was on. And he really spoke to me about needing to
embracing the bald,
when to do the bald. And he said that,
any advice? Because I'm in two minds at the minute.
You know what? Try it. You know, go down to the bone and see.
It will grow back. Yeah, because just the bald spot's getting bigger. It's basically at some point I'm either going to have to get it off or get a transplant. There's no.
Because I'll show you something I did just for enjoyment. Because I had to grow my hair for this thing that people are going to be poking around at next week, and I had to cut it for the show I did on Saturday because. My opening gambit's about now being bald. So
yes, you can't go in with a beautiful.
So I gave it a nice wee we work of this baby. We think.
But see, that's essentially my hair.
Pretty sweet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I never thought Kyle Gass was a sex symbol, but now I'm like, yeah, I can buy into that.
Well, I'm spending more and more on sun cream. Because you have to sun cream your head even on like a mild day.
Yeah.
Because your head's just all. And I'm not a hat guy. I have too big a head.
You know what? That's the thing. What you should do, and I have considered it, and I've said to Catherine I'll do it at some point. I wanted to get the skullet. You know, Hulk Hogan mullet. I've found out recently that's what that hairstyle is known as.
The skullet.
The skullet.
Would you do the Fu Manchu as well?
No. I would keep I would go Hollywood. I would maybe dye this.
Hollywood.
I'd keep the black
Ergatarn.
Yeah. But was that not
that could be good for the banger stable that we're forming?
Yes, I could just have to. I am originally from Hollywood.
North Down World Order.
Yeah, there you go. North Down World Order, the NDW.
Too sweet.
Yeah.
Too expensive. Yeah. Oh wait, no, I did it wrong. That's that.
No, but this is the North Down World Order. Too expensive.
Too expensive.
Who else would be in? So I'd be Hollywood, Dave Elliott with one L in Hollywood.
Big sexy Alan Irwin. Who's the bad guy then? Who's the one that's got underlying problems with substance abuse and we're all just keeping it under wraps?
But then I don't know who else would let in the banger really. Who do you reckon would be somebody you could see living down these?
Ooh.
Weirdly, Robbie McShane.
Robbie McShane could be in the banger. He'd be the wee odd man out. He'd be like
the Bobby Heenan.
He wasn't in the just a bloke. Luke McGibbon, I could see living down here.
Yeah,
he's got that nice. He's from Dundonald. It's funny, it's not a Narcissus Roar away.
Oh no, but he's not a bad guy though, is he? He's a good guy.
He is a good guy. Yeah.
You call him the good guy?
The good guy, Luke McGibbon.
Yeah.
Too expensive.
Too expensive. But tell you what, bang for your buck.
Well, we're going to do the thing they do.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Oh, that'd be great. The North Down World Order. That's what the episode's going to be called. Not the women with nice
North Down World Order. Yeah, it's great. It's good to know that when I move up here, I'll have a friend.
Yes, but I mean that's
until you turn on me.
But that always happens.
Inevitably, wrestling friendships are just a countdown till
the turn.
The turn.
I can see it. I could walk you down the long hole and just push you in the sea.
Perfect. I'm up for that.
But that's the thing now too.
Sweet release.
But I feel like with Bangor, it's almost like my secret that I want to keep a wee bit too. Like, so I feel when I'm talking, I'm like, listen, I have some secrets to tell you, but I don't want to tell everyone because I don't want all the riffraff coming down here.
I've been scoping it. I was in Bangor on Sunday, actually. Had a nice wee. We went into that wee coffee shop on the front.
Boardwalk.
That's the one.
Shout out to Boardwalk.
Lovely stuff.
Nice coffee in there.
Lovely. Yep. Had a wee walk around the courthouse. They had I love a tray bake. Tray bake a choice.
Oh, see, it's hard to beat. I just think a straight up Caramel Square.
That's literally what I was going to say.
It's hard to beat a straight
This is the best stable that has ever formed.
North Down World Order, just have an afternoon.
It shits all over a 15, or a raspberry ruffle. But suck my dick.
I had something. Where was I the other week?
I got very angry about raspberry ruffles.
No, but Colin's big into the raspberry ruffles, and I don't buy it.
As in you don't buy it, as in you don't believe that he's into it?
No, I don't purchase them because I just spend all my money in Caramel Squares. But I was in a Biddy's cafe in Bushmills.
Oh yeah.
Went in there.
Yeah.
And they had tempted me with a few. You know that song, Tempted by the Fruit of Another? I was very much hearing that in my head as I looked at the Biscoff.
I'm a big Biscoff fan, I have to say.
And it was pretty good.
I like a wee Malteser one as well. You know that one?
Yeah. You know what? That's the show I would like, is me tasting tray bakes and having afternoon tea. Afternoon tea with a big D. There you go. That could be on after your...
That sounds like the parody of the show.
Yeah. It sounds like it should be something much worse.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Only with a big D, you just have a tray bake and a big penis.
A penis sitting on it, just on top of the 15. That's not a marshmallow.
No. Have you ever seen that picture of like a guy holding a bottle of wine and there's quite a discreet but very large penis beside it?
No.
No, I sent that to my family group as a joke at Christmas one day, and nobody noticed the penis.
How many sherries did you have when you sent that to your family group?
I said, would anybody be interested? And I think my father-in-law was like, "Oh, I don't think I've tried that one before." But and I was like, "Hold on, he is literally." It was so discreet. He has just seen the wine. I'm going to have to try to find this because it is so. Like,
I'm obsessed. This will be good for anybody listening on the audio.
But what we do, you see, is we pop a wee picture up when I show stuff. So Ben,
can you show that on YouTube?
Ben will pop this baby up here, and then what he'll do is have to blur out
quite 70% of the image.
I actually nearly refer to it as Pinot, which
Pinot
was
Cabernet Sauvignon.
I can't find it. There's too much like other things to look at.
That's okay.
But I'll find it. I will
put it
send
up
it to you.
Yeah, and then you can put it. You still
Yeah.
put it up on the screen.
And I might send it to my father-in-law again to be like, have you ever tried this? And he'd be like,
Did you ever get round to try
yeah.
this?
He'd be like, yeah, but I've not tried the wine. Yeah. All right, Norman, relax.
Yeah, I did see it, mate. I just
Yeah.
wasn't. I don't want to say
No.
I love cock.
I know.
I've said cock twice. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not really a cock
No.
man. I don't say cock a lot.
But this is what happens when you're in the Northern World
Dick
Order.
is more my.
Dick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
aggressive. Cock's very.
I've got into Walt these days.
You're
It's a word.
Walt?
You're Walt, yeah.
I love a wab.
Wab's good.
Although a wab's like a semi, isn't it?
I don't know. But a wobbler, have you ever seen that meme of Triple H holding the sledgehammer? And it's just like, what do you reckon? I think of this big wobbler. You know, it's really... It's the
Wobbler?
Most, it's the most Belfast, like, slang.
What do you think of this big wobbler?
And it's Triple H holding
How
the
did they get
sledgehammer.
my chat up line on the meme?
You know, you should be looking some royalties out of that.
I really should, yeah. I mean, it served me very well in 2011 at Queen's, you know, but
But,
actually, no, 2011 was a very fallow year. 2012 was pretty good.
yeah, for the wobbler.
2013 for the old. I wouldn't call it a wobbler.
The wobbler of
it's
Wall
like
Street.
you know, if a wobbler is Triple H's sledgehammer,
Yeah.
mine is also Triple H's sledgehammer, but the one you get with an action figure.
Right, okay. Because I was going to say mine's more of a toffee
It's
hammer.
just
You know, it's just-
toffee. That's very bangery.
It
you know.
is, isn't it?
Toffee hammer. I just had to pull it apart with my teeth. the toffee. To be clear.
But that is like to get toffee. That's as hard to require a hammer to shatter it. Is
Don't
not
eat
going to
that.
be good for your teeth.
Don't eat that.
I'm a fillings guy. I have a lot
Me
of
too.
fillings.
I have a
in
few films. Yeah.
that toffee obsolete for my
Here's
life.
my top tip, by the way. I've nearly all white fillings now
Mm-hmm.
because I went to the School of Dentistry and they do it for free.
Nice.
You get free white fillings. So they actually took out all my silver fillings and replaced them with white ones. I got lovely teeth now. Well, I
Yeah.
haven't got lovely teeth. They're crooked as fuck. But like, you know, they're...
I went to a woman in Hollywood, and it used to be the man who was my dentist for years, and he left because he had a mishap with a drill. So he was drilling,
What do you do?
and I think what had happened, whatever way the drill was, it's a double pump handle drill. He was really drilling something here, but whatever it went, it stayed no, but. Right,
Oh, like a drill in the house?
yeah, like
Oh, not like
no,
not a
pneumatic.
dentist drill?
No, with his own drill and like did ligaments in his wrists, and he was like, I can't dent anymore. Is that what you described?
Dentize?
I can't dentize
I would
anymore.
have loved to have been a dentist, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not sciencey minded, not medical, not very good with my hands, but I think I would have liked to have been a
The
dentist.
smell would be gross, wouldn't it? Like whenever they're doing it'd be
Yeah, because even like my own breath sometimes will make me feel ill, so it's like, you
yeah.
know.
But see, whenever they do that, like they drill something out and then they're sucking it away, and you get a wee whiff of your own stuff. You're like, oh no, I'm embarrassed that they're smelling.
That they're
whatever's-
smelling that all the time. That's why they wear the
you know.
mask, you know. I remember my dentist as a kid, he didn't wear gloves unless he was working with blood, and he had really hairy knuckles.
Oh wow.
So he'd be like checking your teeth and he'd be like tickling the roof of
Tickling
your
your
mouth. No.
No, but when he left, he got replaced by. I consider this woman to be like the in my opinion, the greatest dentist in the world.
Right.
She was tremendous at dentistry, dentizing. But you know what she wasn't great at? Banter.
Ah, yes.
You know,
Well, it's hard
so-
to do banter with your mouth open.
No, but sometimes you just have to be like, oh, this is a bit of a disaster, isn't it? And she'd be like, yes. Oh, well. And then, like, she took one of my teeth out. I cracked a tooth. And then, of all things, a tracker bar was what just did the damage. And I had, like, the inner part of it taken out here.
Of the tracker bar.
Oh, yeah, because what I thought initially had happened, traumatic thinking about it, I thought one of the nuts of the tracker bar had just slipped in between my gum and my tooth, but no, it had cracked the tooth. And so they popped that out, and she was like, yeah, I'm going to take out the roots of your tooth. So she was like, again, I thought she was trying to venture into the world of banter. She's like, you've had, like, she's like, your head's similar in size to what I imagine a gorilla's head would be like. And I was like, she's like, no, it's just,
No, it's just an
it was
observation.
hard to get the teeth out. And I was like, okay. She took one out and she's like, you've got a crack on the other one. Do you want me to just take that tooth too? And I was like, does it need to come out? And she's like, nah, not really. But well then no. Just
Yeah, don't just take my teeth unnecessarily.
Yeah, but then she's like,
I'm
what?
not a Jack Russell with gum disease.
But what she was saying to me too, she's like, I can do, I can put in the crowns, and I can put in, proper fake teeth, the screws and all into the bone, if you fancy that. And I was like, yeah, cool. How much are we talking? She's like, just to get the implant in, probably sort of $3,000 or something. I was like, you know what? Probably not.
No, leave it. I'll just be in agony for the rest
Yeah.
of my life.
Just
rather
let
than
me
be
do
in
that.
financial agony
No,
for the rest of my life.
But what she did do, she put some sort of like Terminator style filling on the broken tooth, and it's been there, touch wood, 3 years.
Nice work.
So she is a fantastic dentist.
Well,
but, then I left because she was far too expensive.
Oh, of course.
So I get £7. I got for a wee checkup there recently. Great.
£7.
Mm-hmm. And then I went in to get.
That wouldn't even cover an hourly rate. What the fuck?
Yeah,
That's
£7 because in NHS.
Obviously, it's getting a dentist. But that's why the School of Dentistry, the first year I went, the problem is every year you get the final year students, but that means you go in a year's time, you get a completely different student.
Right, okay.
But the girl that I had for the first time, she was great. Like, I actually fell asleep while getting a film one time because she was so gentle, did such a good job.
And did she like stroke your head and all too? Off the sleep?
From Ballymena, she was lovely. I can't even remember her name, but if you're out there, I hope you're as good a dentist still.
Yeah. Imagine she was like Colin Hoyle. That'd be an awkward way to go, wouldn't it?
Well, she I suppose she could. I mean, I didn't know her personally. I mean, she could have been an absolute fucking nightmare in her personal life, but I don't know. Just the way when you said about your man injured himself with the drill, my dad worked with a guy one time who wife and kids were away for the weekend, so he thought, I'll do a bit of DIY.
I was wondering where that was going.
No, not normal. Yeah. And he was putting up something like, say, bunk bed or something, and he stapled himself to the bed, to the furniture, like through the hand. Couldn't reach the hammer to get the nail. Had to stand for like nearly 24 hours with his hand just like stapled to the wall.
Did you not try and just, or that was it a proper?
An industrial stapler.
Oh wow!
You'd rip a huge hole in your hand.
Stigmatic.
Because also
trying to build this bunk bed.
I mean, I'm not an anatomy guy, you know, but I imagine it's kind of like wrapped around the bone. So if you try and pull it straight out, it's going to have to come through the bone.
You know what I would have done? Like teeth.
Would you? When you're about to pass out from the pain, you're a big man. Said you've got a staple in your hand, Dave. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? Listen, we're looking for Patreon content.
All right, I'm up for that. I'll go and get a. Let's go to. You used to work at B&Q. You've got contacts.
In fact, speaking of B&Q, I did my show on Saturday and referenced Homebase, and someone I used to work with was from B&Q. Sent me a message, being like, "I was at the show. Why did you not reference B&Q?" I was like, "Sorry."
I honestly don't know the difference. Really, they're just the same shop, really, aren't they? Just
Homebase
one's green and one's orange.
Oh, hey, listen. And ironically, Homebase is my favourite.
That shocks me. Yeah, I'm more B&Q man, you know. But
Homebase is closer. To me. Like, whenever you join the North Down World Order, you'll soon find out that Homebase is handier.
Is there no B&Q in Bangor?
No, the closest one is the Hollywood Exchange.
Ah, no, fuck that. I'm not going there. Very anti-Hollywood, I must say.
Yeah, you know what? We're in Hollywood right now, which is interesting. You know what? I'll
never get the stink off me.
I'm originally from Hollywood, and sometimes people are like, "Oh, why do you not say you're from Hollywood?" It's because I don't live there, you know.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm originally from Lisburn, but like, I've lived in Belfast for over a decade now, so I'd probably never live in Lisburn again. So
yeah, well, unless things, you know, for you.
That's true. If my wife left me, I would be back in my old bedroom. I remember
hatching plans.
When I moved out before, we broke up briefly, and I moved back in with my mum and dad, and they'd redecorated my bedroom.
Oh no!
And what sort of way? It was like you know the way Stalin took all those guys out of the photos after he purged them.
I thought you were going to say it was like Stalin. She had the full just Soviet flags.
But yeah, my mum's a big tanky. So it was like I had never been in the house, and I was like, this is awful. Like,
did you feel sad? Were you like, are they just erasing me?
But it was just like I was never there. So I just was like, I don't have a bedroom anymore. I sleep in a spare room, and it was also done up quite feminine, like there was fairy lights and stuff, and I was like, this is not what I would pick for my bedroom.
But when you're in there, the ambience.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, obviously 26-year-old me was bringing loads of girls back to my mum and dad's spare room.
But then you know what? That sounds in fact terribly.
You're about to say there's something exciting about that.
Yeah, I was going to say no. It makes me sound like a terrible Bundy. I was be like, well, we'd disarm them, wouldn't it, with the fairy lights? You know?
But disarm them from what? Yeah. What am I doing?
Just, you know, they would have their guard down when they walk in and see the fairy lights, and then no.
Well, you see, best case scenario there is that they would be like, oh, it's going to be lovely, and in fact, they'll find that it's just dull.
Yeah, but what you could do is light a wee Yankee candle. Boop.
Not with my arse. There's danger of rolling it in. Take the whole off myself.
Yeah, but you didn't have the pus gun at the time, did you?
No. This is post pus.
Post pus.
And it was also post push. To be honest, it was very much a lean period.
But I am trying to subtly make my parents ostracize my sister from the house because
does she still live at home?
No.
So what?
So right, my parents live in like a townhouse.
Right.
I say like it.
I say that as in I don't fully understand what a townhouse is.
Neither
it's like a narrow house, isn't it?
Yeah, it's narrow, but there's 3 stories.
Yeah, it's tall but narrow. Yeah. Actually, I live in a townhouse. Then.
Yeah. So what there is, you walk into the middle floor. So you go up steps and then you go down or up because that's how middle floors work.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they have like a living room and a kitchen in the middle.
It's the Grand Designs here.
You know, what about your man from Phil, whatever his name for Grand Designs is it, or from location? Both his parents died in a car accident.
When?
The weekend or something.
Did they?
Yeah, and he was like, it's okay though, because they went together on the farm in a stream. And I was like, well, that makes it totally grand then, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I love when both my
Sweet.
as someone with one parent who died, I would have been much happier if they died together. Like what a
Is
weird
that your
thing to
one
say.
regret that they didn't?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely. That's the main thing I took away from the death of my mum was if they both went together, it would have been more fitting. You know,
Yeah.
it'd have been more Emmerdale Christmas Day special.
But he was buzzing about it. I'll find the thing on Instagram, show you his post, because I mean
He was buzzing. Was he buzzing?
Yeah, but that's where
are you slightly exaggerating?
Because that's where you go first of all when both your parents die in a tragic accident. Is Instagram for the likes? You know, you're going to get some likes.
Look,
there.
That's how you do it.
You're getting the results. But no, my sister.
When you come for the gram, you best not miss. You know.
No, exactly. You do not miss. Like Love Hate. You ever watch it?
No, but are you about to recommend it because you're the second person to do that?
Yeah, there's someone that they came for the king and they missed. All I'm saying. By the way, from the show, the final episode aired a decade ago. I'm like, hey, don't come for the king and miss. But
no, well, I mean that's what I say whenever I'm second last at the pavilion.
Yeah,
I'm like. You can try to follow me, but you come for the king, you best not miss.
It's not happening.
You're going to need at least 8 minutes of dick jokes and anxiety jokes, you know.
But now we're doing just cock and afternoon tea jokes here. This is what we're all about. But my sister,
Too expensive.
So downstairs used to be my lair back in the day.
Right.
So whenever we moved in there, my sister had an upstairs room because she's a little sister. I had downstairs. I had an ensuite, pretty cool.
Oh, here.
I was able to fit sofas in my room. I had 2 sofas.
Two sofas?
2 sofas and a double bed.
Why did you have fucking Central Perk in your bedroom? What's
but
going on? Central
uh,
Perk, what a dated reference.
I know. But listen, people still watch Friends, don't they, on repeat?
Yeah.
But
younger people don't have any nostalgia for it, so they're like, what the fuck even is this?
No, there's like, you talking about the big bag. Shut up. The big bag.
Big bag.
But
the hell that.
And then whenever I moved out, my sister moved in.
Right.
And now, recently...
She's got the big room with the 2 sofas?
Yeah, so she's down there. That was fine. But then she moved out and bought her own house, which is now... She rents out to people, and she now lives in a flat. An apartment, sorry, should I say, in St Albans.
Now, hold on.
Yeah.
This is a real bugbear of mine. Is it actually an apartment? Because you get people that live in like Divis flats and they're like, we'll have an apartment.
No,
you're like, it is an apartment.
She's an accountant. You know.
Fucking.
By the way, hey, can you spell the word accountant without the word cunt? No.
Well, you have to remove a letter, but yeah, I see what you're going for.
See, you can't.
She's crunched the numbers and confirmed that yes, you can.
But my point is that they were like saying to me, Mum, they're like, sure, you don't have a room here, you don't need one, not because you have your own house. Don't worry about it. And I was like, but Fiona has 2. Why has she kept the room? So I'm trying to say to my parents.
So it's still thought of as her room.
Yeah.
Oh,
when
see
she comes home, she just has. So I said, you need to make that a playroom for my children.
Fucking right. Does she have children?
Nope.
Well then, fuck her then. Let's get
let's get her out.
I don't know why I'm so angry about a woman I've never met, but like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, she needs out, but she is, and I mean, if you can afford an apartment and a house, you don't need a room.
Accounts out.
Yeah, exactly, accounts out. So what I'm trying to do is put that on my mum and dad's head, but she has like her wardrobe and all her clothes, but she'll not wear them because they're like from the noughties. So she's like, she's dressing like, who does she think she is? The Dream? No, she's a...
Like Dusty Rhodes?
No, not the American Dream. The rapper / producer.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
And it's nobody else.
I'm the whitest guy you'll ever meet.
But
both literally and figuratively.
Got like moon boots and like...
I'm not going
to wear any shit. So I said to my folks, you need to get rid of it. And they're like, but that's her bed. I'm like, give it to the bonfire.
Yeah. They love a bit of wood.
Like, do you ever watch Game of Thrones?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the way in Game of Thrones there's like the Red Wedding and stuff? Like, you need a purge of her room. Just need to clear it out and then say to her.
So you want them to slit your sister's throat?
Shoot her with a bow and arrow.
I think that's okay.
No, what I want to do is I just want them to clear out her room and be like, listen.
She doesn't have a dog around, does she?
A dog?
Yeah, because it's quite horrible what they do with the dog's head, the wolf's head, you know.
She does have a dog.
Well, there you go. So they're going to have to remove her head and put a dog's head on her?
Yes. But
create her around the horse.
The funny thing is, her dog...
Is she Rob in this now? Sorry, I feel like I've got...
Her dog is a Dachshund, so it would be a very
small... wee tiny head. Yeah. You know what, that's extra funny.
Yeah.
If they'd done that with Rob, that'd have been like, I'm on the fresh side.
That's banter, yeah.
You know?
But yeah, she's got a wee Dachshund. And she would look like almost like if Anubis from Egyptian lore was a Gumba from Mario Brothers.
And had his head shrunk.
Yeah, that's what she looked like. By Rikishi Fatu and the Head Shrinkers. There you go. Tied it all in.
You know, funny enough, I recorded a podcast last night that had the Head Shrinkers in it.
Nice.
What a weird... They're eating a lot of turkey.
Yeah. The Head Shrinkers?
Yeah, it was his Thanksgiving.
All right, okay. The Head Shrinkers were scary. I remember being afraid of them. For anyone who doesn't know, they were a tag team. It wasn't Haku and Rikishi?
No, it was Samu, who never really did much else. But yeah, Rikishi, who they were like Samoan savages.
Mm-hmm.
But they bare feet. The whole thing with Samoan wrestling was supposed to be like in wrestling, it was a recurrent thing that they have really hard heads.
Yes.
So
like Haku is a big hard noggin on him too, didn't he?
Well, Haku is like a terrifying man. He once removed a guy's palate with his bare hands.
Like this?
He just put his hand into his mouth and pulled out like half of his top teeth.
Oh wow! But he's renowned, isn't he, as one of the most the hardest wrestlers.
Yeah, but also the loveliest man.
Yeah.
But apparently, if people like crossed him, he once threw a guy, and the guy went through 4 sets of doors.
Whoa, that's impressive.
Yeah, I remember Big Jake the Snake said if he was in a tank. Mm-hmm. And Haku was coming at him, he'd just shoot himself in the head because he's like, I don't want to wound him and have that fucker angry at me. So like that's the kind of level. Yeah. But now he sells cars in Florida.
But he does look like the kind of guy who's had a past. You know, maybe like a guy who would have played a bit of rugby. Now what were you like back in the day, Granda? Well, people, there's some stories about me kicking about.
I was Haku or Meng as well. He's also Meng.
Was Meng the one that? Like,
Meng's Haku, but when he was in another company.
But was Meng? He was supposed to be like an Asian guy, wasn't he, rather than Samoan? Was he?
Well,
no. Who was
Haku's
Rikishi?
From Tonga.
But who was Rikishi? It was similar to Meng. He had a character that was a weird name, and he dressed like the Sultan, maybe.
The Sultan had the mask on.
Yes. Yeah. And did Meng have a mask?
No.
Or no? Maybe I'm mistaken from the Sultan.
The Sultan, yeah, he was WWF. Meng was WCW.
Okay, you're a bigger fan of WCW.
Well, I mean, I have a wrestling podcast now. You know, that's my hope. Well, you used to have a wrestling podcast.
Yeah, but you know what happened? Our ruthless producers were like, not doing the numbers. Cold. There you go. Done.
Bring it back.
You know, I'd like to bring it back. It was good fun. But
Northdown World Order.
The North. I would like to actually get a sign up now. Then
we spray painted. That's what they did.
Yeah, on the wall.
NDWO.
There you go. But speaking of which, you're going to see some wrestling the weekend, aren't you?
I am indeed. On
a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you?
At the minute, about a 9.
Okay.
My only caveat is that flying over, we're going with Ryanair, and I just have this horrible fear.
But if it's any consolation, I flew to Portugal with Ryanair this year, and I didn't know until I got to the airport that we were flying with Ryanair, and I was very disappointed. But when I got on, it was grand.
Oh well, then
you'd be grand.
Yeah, so going to London to AEW All In, so there's like over 80,000 tickets sold.
That is impressive.
So I'm very excited.
But this is an annoying thing. Like I consider myself in my old wise age a fan of wrestling, not a fan of companies per se.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
but what are the big feuds going into All In? All I've seen recently is Jungle Boy's a real asshole.
He's like hates ECW. He wrestled Rob Van Dam there recently.
Yeah, he's fallen out with him. I've seen CM Punk's come back with his
he's wrestling Samoa Joe
for his Dirty X belt.
Yeah, so he never lost the title before he left for a year. So he's like, I'm still the champion. So somebody has to beat me for this belt. So they're going to probably build to him against MJF, the world champion. You know,
and then is Adam Cole going to screw MJF?
I think so. And you've got Young Bucks against FTR, which will be good. Sting's wrestling. I love Sting.
Are FTR okay after the whole?
Yeah, one of them was arrested for like he waved his gun at somebody during a road rage incident. Apparently,
a legitimate gun, not a metaphorical gun.
He didn't. You know, I'm doing that as if anything's going to appear here.
Yeah, just think about that.
But so apparently he is allowed to travel.
Okay,
because he hasn't been convicted of anything. But if he had been convicted, he wouldn't be allowed into the UK.
Like Snoop Doggy Dogg.
But there's like 8 or 9 matches. I think they're probably going to announce another couple of matches. But
is Chris Jericho? Let me see.
He's wrestling.
Let me remember who he's fighting. Is he fighting somebody for the first time ever?
Yeah.
Is that the big deal? Give me a clue.
English.
Oh yes, Ospreay. That should be a good match.
That'll be a good match. You know, Jericho. This is weird though. Jericho's entrance music is obviously a Fozzy song that he sang. Yeah. He's going to sing himself to the ring on Sunday night.
Yeah.
With Fozzy.
That'd be
how do you do it? Imagine doing a full song and then be like, right, I suppose I better wrestle for half an hour now.
Yeah, he'll lose that.
Yeah.
He's renowned for putting people over, isn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, well, Ospreay's English. It's London.
Yeah.
Surely.
But what's Jericho doing these days? Is he relevant still in AEW?
He's kind of like he's become that thing of like the veteran who's working with younger guys. You know, he's alright. There's a while where he was very bloated and ill looking, and then he lost a bit of weight, and he's improved so much. Yeah. You know, he's like.
Because he was the El Champion, wasn't he? The Ocho whenever he was fat.
That was where a little bit of the bubbly and all came from. Yeah,
that was very inspirational. Yeah, but he now, like, Is he going to win is he going to be atop the world again, do you think?
I don't think so. No. I think those days are behind him. I think actually he'll probably pretty soon go into like what Sting does, where it's like he's just doing tag team matches. Gets to shine a wee bit, but lets the younger guys do most of the work, so that he has the energy to be able to go for 40 minutes or whatever, And
what's the story with MJF and Adam Cole at the minute?
So they did a thing where they hated each other, and then had a match, and it was a draw for the world title. They ran they had the time limit, which I always like. They don't do that in WWE, and I like a wee time limit, And then they were forced to team together in this tournament where all the teams were randomly drawn, and then they've, against all their intentions, become best friends.
Yeah. Because I heard their recent theme song amalgamation.
Yes. So they're like a proper. So they're actually wrestling twice at the show. They're wrestling in the first match on the pre-show for the tag titles, and then in the main event for the world title. But I think that's just.
Are they fighting together? Each other for the world title?
Yeah. Right, but I think the idea with the tag title match is just they want all 80,000 people in their seats at the start of the show. Right, so they're like, put a huge match on the pre-show to start.
Who are the tag champions at the minute?
Well, this is the Ring of Honor one, so it's Aussie Open, who are two Australian guys who are great actually, and then FTR, the AEW tag team champions. So
I wish the Briscoes were there.
I know, that was awful sad. Genuinely, really was.
It was.
Big Jay Briscoe.
R.I.P. But what they should do is Mark Briscoe should still be a tag team, the Briscoes, and just him
individually,
and then win the tag titles himself.
Just by himself, just with a framed photograph.
Yep, something like that.
Beautiful.
I'd like that. Or what I would like to do would be get Vince McMahon involved in the writing of that story, and he would find something tasteful to do.
Well, like that
so
time
respectful of the dead.
Yeah, but that time that Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon fought Shawn Michaels and God.
Yes, that was a personal.
And God was just a light.
Yep.
And Shawn Michaels, big Christian, went, "I'll do that. Yeah, sure. You got to pay me, Vince? Yeah. I'll do it. I'll betray my ideals."
So who are the, for anyone that doesn't, like, there's a lot of like established wrestlers going to be at all.
Oh yeah.
But who are the ones that are like up and coming? Is Edge going to be there? That's what people are saying.
Well, you see, this is the thing. So he had his last match for WWE.
Did you see the match?
Yeah, it was alright.
I thought it was great. It was hard. Sheamus is probably going up as one of my favourites.
Sheamus is good, and it's a shame because it's sort of too late. It's like he's never going to be a top guy now, But I think he's great. But yeah, so Edge's contract apparently runs with WWE until the end of September. He's just used all the matches, but also I feel like that's what you would leak out if you were going to do a surprise.
Yeah,
like his real life best friend and longtime tag team partner Christian is in AEW.
Yeah.
And the Hardy Boys are in AEW. Would you not want one last wee run? He
also loves those FTR boys too, don't they? They're his best friends.
Yeah. So like he could do 2 or 3 dream matches, retire.
See, I'd like him to do that, but then go back and win a world title in WWE. Yeah, he's my favourite.
Is Edge your favourite?
My favourite, yeah.
Edge, I like Edge, but he's not. I have not enjoyed the return at all. No. It's too serious. The matches are too long. He's like, I need to wrestle for 50 minutes. Yeah. Like, you actually don't.
They fucked it. You know why? They've not made him the perv, and that's his best.
Oh, he's so good as a perv.
He needs to be the
excellent perv.
He needs to come back as a perv.
He could be like a mid-level comedian in Birmingham or something. You know?
That's what he needs to be.
He's such a perv.
But see if he came back and because see the whole Judgment Day thing. In fairness, that's worked out. But if they brought him back now as the perv, and because they know obviously his wife in his real life, he just pretended, did a wee kayfabe on that, and just had him like sucking face of one of the younger women. Are
you living through him here? What's happening?
That's what I want to see. Rated R again.
I was thinking about this a while ago. Right, this is not related to wrestling, but just I had been asked about like some mad things that had happened over the years from doing comedy, and I was thinking about, there was one time I opened for Michael Redmond at the Black Box. Right, now the first time he did the Black Box, he sold out the main room.
Yes,
Paddy McDonald was on. I think Sean Haggerty, and then they brought him back, and he didn't sell enough tickets to even fill the green room.
Yeah.
Because they booked Paddy was on, but then me.
Yeah.
And they were like, I don't have no tickets. But the promoter decided to get up immediately before Michael and do his first ever set. And one of the things he did was be really creepy about an attractive woman in the front row. And then she went to the toilet, and he leaned over to her boyfriend and went, "Give her one for me." Right now, my question is, what do you want to happen there? You want him to have sex with her, but not you.
But then coming up to you afterwards and be like,
I one of those thrusts was for you, big fella. Like, what a fucking weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's quite a common thing. Well, not a common thing, but like disgusting men would be like, "Give her one for me," and you're like, why? Why would you want that? Surely you would want to be involved.
Yeah, but then I don't even know what. That is a good question. What do you get out of that? Give her one for me.
Can I just give her one for me?
What about let me give her one for you?
Yeah, but see, at least that's gross.
Yeah.
But at least I'm like, well, you're getting a ride out of it.
I'm glad that's what he said, because I thought you were going to say like smelled the seat or something. I feel like that's even worse.
No, he was an incredible guy. He doesn't promote comedy anymore. You'll be shocked to know.
Do I know this guy?
You probably do.
Nice.
He ran a few gigs. He also he always booked like, oh, here's a guy who was in Def Leppard for 6 months in 1984. Doing a tour, he's doing voodoo, you know, that kind of.
Well, I'm keen to hear who this is.
He also, at that show, Ronan Linsky, very good friend of mine, obviously an art comedian, turned up, and rather than just let him in for free, he docked Ronan's admission from my check.
What a dick. Because I think that's the thing now about being a comedian too. You're spoiled. You can go to gigs and just be like, I'm a comedian, legend. It's great. But
also because you're not dependent on the money from comedians paying in.
That is wild.
You know, when I ran the PAV, I was like, I need all these 4 quids I can get, because you know, we need the help. Well, now you're like, come on in. There's 40 people already here.
But then it helps too, because you remember the days. You remember the days of the PAV being a place where you're like, oh no, I have to go and gig at the PAV.
That has never left me, you know.
No,
I can't get. I actually tell a lie. The last couple of times I've done the PAV, I've really enjoyed it. But it still is always that place to me where you're like.
The last time I did the PAV, I ate a big plate of poo poo.
Did you?
Yep. Was not a fun time.
Yeah, they're hard to read.
And then Luke's like, oh, I've recorded your set. And I was like, burn it. Right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. It's okay. Keep that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did the PAV on Monday there, but I did Johnny Tombola.
How'd that go?
How did it go? So
for anyone who doesn't know, Johnny Tombola is
so it's a character that I created. Which, by the way, there's a half-hour sitcom about him on BBC Sounds.
BBC Sounds, yes.
Johnny Tombola out now, so you can give it a wee listen. It's got William Thompson in it, Teresa Livingston, Caroline Curran. Do you know Caroline?
Yes, Caroline's great.
So that's the cast.
Maggie Muff.
Lovely woman.
Also, she's an SPBer, wasn't she?
She was. That's actually how I never worked with her in SPB, but I met her at the we were at some awards day or something, and just clicked immediately. She's a lovely one.
Yeah, no, she's lovely.
So Johnny is a crooner from like the 60s, 70s in Northern Ireland, kind of like a Roy Walker-y kind of, does a few tunes, couple of jokes, you know. And then he went to prison for like tax fraud, has come out and is trying to make a comeback, but he suffered a debilitating throat injury in prison, so he can't. So he talks like that there, so he can't sing anymore without coughing. So he's trying to like make a comeback. So it
is very enjoyable as well. Still there on BBC Sounds.
It sounds absolutely fucking insane though, doesn't it? When I say it out loud, I'm like, oh.
But I listened to it, I enjoyed it a lot.
Thanks very much.
Yes.
No, I was pleased because that was the first time I'd ever written a half-hour thing, and like it's pretty much what the first draft was. There was a few changes, but you know. So anyway, I did that at the PAV on Monday, and I've done 7-minute sets as Johnny, and it really works. But the 20, you're like, oh, it's a lot harder, because it's like you need people to buy into this very strange thing. Yeah. And it's also exhausting because I have to talk like that there for 20 minutes. And
did you manage that part?
Yeah, although at one point, Heather Anderson, another comedian, pointed out to me that at one point I said, people say to me, Alan, but nobody noticed but her, but I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I was Johnny there for a minute. And I had a good enough time, but I feel like they never quite bought into the persona. And also, the headline spot at the PAV is tough. Yes. Anyway, it's Monday night, 11 o'clock. People are tired. They've seen like 9 acts. You know.
See, that's another thing that people don't take into account. Sometimes when you headline, people are just tired.
Yeah, 100%. Especially early in the week like that. Monday's a shit. You know, Monday's a bad day. To be out that late. You know? Like the PAV used to start at 9:30.
Yes.
Which is insane.
It is. I remember back to those days when the stage was at the back. You would come in all scared and all.
And the comedians table at the other end where everybody would bitch.
Yeah, and when you bitched in the PAV,
the noise travelled.
It was bitchy.
Oh, it was. That was the very much the like closed shop era of NI comedy. You know, I kind of came in at the tail end of that.
But what I do think is a little bit funny too is maybe some of the acts who maybe were especially harsh on some people, you know, have maybe discovered new means of putting themselves out there, and they're less bitter now, which is nice to see.
There was definitely a thing where a lot of people thought it was kind of like embarrassing to promote yourself.
Yeah.
But actually, over time, we've learned that like, oh yeah, that's what you should have been doing, you know, and trying to push yourself as much as possible.
What I think was, for me, I always found it very weird, very quickly, that why people would do comedy.
Why?
Yeah. For example.
I wonder where that was going. I was like, weird silence here.
There's some people who you would see maybe doing the pavilion, they would maybe have it as a night out, go and have a load of pints, get up, do a turn, come off. And that would kind of be it. I'd be like, why would you do that to yourself?
No, yeah.
Why would you not just go and watch and have pints? Like,
yeah.
You know, when you go, you're like, you want to go and you want to get something out of it. You want to, like, work on but to do the same set, you're like, there must be some sort of torture you're giving yourself from that.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing. And I also think that's where a lot of the bitchiness came from. You were getting people who had no ambition to do it full time. It was just like a hobby. But they found it hard to understand that people who did want to do it full time had to do all that stuff because... Yeah. You're not going to make a living from something unless you work at it. You know, that's.
But you know, another weird thing about comedy too, or like stand up, is you're like, who do they think they are? Yet, if you're doing it, you have an element of, I'm going up here and people are going to watch me and see what I do.
Oh, 100%. It's like there's an inherently like egotistical element to it.
Absolutely.
There has to be, you know. But I suppose that's true of almost anything. It's like if you go, I'm going to be a dentist, you go, well, I'm going to be good at that. Yeah. So, you know, people should come and see me and let me fix their teeth. It's all kind of, you know, the only difference is there's a performance aspect. Yeah. You know?
But the performance is weird because I am quite, I think off stage, relatively just a normal
quite like a soft, but then I always say like on stage, you're like a soft spoken guy. You're not, you're not me where I'm shouting all the time. Yeah, you know?
I would sort of, again, but I've become quite aware, like certainly with the last show that I did, I didn't want to be like, oh, I hate my life so much. But,
I can't endorse that viewpoint.
Yeah, but I just got the point where, like, you know what, I'm too sly about my kids, so I'll have a go with them briefly, and then move on and just make me the full butt of the joke. So I was much happier doing the material.
Well,
I must say.
Somebody said to me like a couple of years ago, they were like, if they were describing my act, that it's basically getting really angry about things that don't matter. And that's also my life.
But it's also funny though, you know.
Well, that's why I'm trying to do the plan. Hopefully next year is to do a new hour.
Yeah.
Which is at the minute it's called Rage, which is just about anger and like the effect of anger, but also the things that anger me. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm good. Like, because also I like a wee thing that's loose enough that you can like. You're not going, it has to be about this story in my life or something.
Because what's weird, like I think you have it in you, don't you? If you write a show, you're like, it needs to be a show. It needs to be,
and not just an hour of material. Yeah,
yeah. And I think that's what I like with this. Like my last show was called Bits and Pieces because I thought it's going to be a bit of everything. But this one's kind of role play. It's like, what is the role? So I've written it almost like, I hate to call it an Edinburgh hour, but it feels like if I did that, I'd do quite well. But it's just, I wasn't even planning on doing an hour this year, but then. I think because I'm used now to turning a wee idea into something.
Yeah, and you almost work to that rhythm now of like every year I've got generating new stuff. You know?
And you know what? In an ideal world, like we're talking about Johnny Tombola there, I would be happy enough not to do a solo show next year if I had like other work on. For example, if I was writing stuff or doing. Because again, at the minute, and this is like I was speaking to Shane about it today actually, but at the minute I am loving just doing stand up, and I think while you have that. You want to do as much.
Oh yeah, because
it doesn't last always forever.
That's the thing, you know. And like I think every comedian says that there's times where even some of the guys who are like doing arenas are like there's times where like I fucking hate doing it. I'm so bored of, you know, and they power through it. But it's like there are times where you're like I'd love to be doing something else. I'd love to be using this like creative energy, but in something else, you know.
Because that's the thing too. Like I was going to chat to you about Soft Border Patrol as well. And think because you've done quite a fair bit. Because again, we can get caught in like you said off camera earlier. A phrase that I really enjoy is comparison is the thief of joy. And
I mean, I didn't coin that phrase.
No, but in this, who was it? Was it a president of the United States?
I thought it was like Aristotle or something.
No, I think it was a president. Maybe
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm honest. I'd be
Teddy Roosevelt. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. But he
did a lot. Like
I thought. You know, I would have been more like that in the past, but now I sort of think, you know, there are other ways, plenty of ways to skin a cat, isn't there, so to speak. So, like, I have got into doing more radio work recently, and I like writing, and I like to diversify a bit because it's just fun to do it, to challenge yourself, and you know, and having written Johnny Tombola, and having worked on Soft Border Patrol, is that something that you're looking at now? Going, I would like to act a bit more. I would like to maybe do a wee bit of more radio work writing. Is that something you're
no 100%. I mean,
because by the way, not to blow smoke up your arse, you were tremendous in Soft Border Patrol.
Thank you.
I thought
that's very kind.
The best.
Oh,
you know, out of
thank you. That's very nice. Yeah, I would say Soft Border. I mean, look, we're not going to pretend the Soft Borders Road was the new Only Fools and Horses. Like, that's not, but I certainly was happy with my contribution.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, the shame for me was there was things that didn't make it in. I was like, that was very funny, and that didn't get in.
But you know what I think the downside of it was. I think it could have been done with being written a bit more.
Yes, I think so. Obviously, that lent itself to, as a stand-up, going, oh, here's a loosely written scene, and all the dialogue's improvised. But I think as well, and I liked everybody that was on it, but I think that there may be a problem with too many characters. So if you're trying to get everybody into every episode, once you divide a half hour into like 10 different characters, you're trying to hurry through scenes all the time. But it was like a really interesting experience, and I really enjoyed it, and I would like to do more of that stuff, but it's like there hasn't actually been anything that's come along since. When's that time BBC and I did a sitcom?
No, well, listen,
other than like Give My Headpiece or
I'm trying my hardest to get something done, but never.
Hopefully you've written a part for a slightly mildly ugly ginger from Lisbon.
Listen, the North Down World Order is the new
plan. Too sweet. No, too expensive.
Too expensive. Yeah.
Woo.
But that the bibiggest problem I think is just that there's not really enough budget to be.
No, that's totally what it is. There's just no money,
which is unfortunate. I love it. Those what are they? The gay. What are the gay guys called? The sodomy princes, are they guys?
Who?
No, sorry, the Saudi princes. They're the guys that have all the money, like Saudi princes, that come over and give BBC and I money so we can all make.
Yeah. Oh, like shows. You just like, and you wouldn't need a huge budget. It's like there's enough time. Like you obviously worked on Williams' thing.
Yes.
And it was great. Yeah. And I was like, that was a real goer. And
co-wrote it, my idea, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
whatever.
But you couldn't really play. But you couldn't have been a 15-year-old boy. There's no way.
I tried hard to be. I wanted to be the guy, the cerebral palsy.
Your depiction of cerebral palsy was a lot more caricaturish, was it?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that was. You know what? I think I got.
You're like William when he's trying to get to the front of a queue.
No, I got the wrong condition.
Oh.
I played Down syndrome to a T, but not. Sadly, not. Cerebral palsy.
But the Johnny thing was really fun. That was the first time that I've when I was a kid, I used to write like scripts and plays. And I loved all that shit.
Yeah.
And then I have 3 screenplays, like of a series of like a fantasy thing. Jeez, if you read it, it's fucking grim. But it was just fun to be like, this is me not writing for me.
Yeah. Even
though I ended up being in it, but
see, that is something that I relate to.
How often do you think of a bit now? Like when you're a new stand-up, everything you think of, you just try it because, and then eventually you go, oh, that's a good idea, but that doesn't fit me. It doesn't,
Yeah.
I wish I could write for somebody else.
See, I get a joy out of that. And this is where the problem sort of I've had recently is that I know to try to develop people, they're wanting it to be like as talent based or talent led is the phrase they use. But I'm sort of thinking, I'm happy to just write. I don't.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was in FNT, the sketch group I was in years ago. I
remember you.
But I preferred watching other people act out what I'd written than being in it. And
it's a different kind of pressure.
Yeah. And I just think, I if I were you, I would I would get that itch and start scratching it again.
Yeah, I know. I need to because I do have a few ideas floating around. There's one in particular, and I'm like, I don't fit into it. I actually like what am I trying to say? In the concept, I'm like, oh, there's nobody here that I would play, so this is good because it means it's not. I don't have to worry about that. This is all totally different. Because it's a real. I think it's a really enjoyable process. While I find stand up very hard to write, and you can tell by my act, but it's like I can only have ideas and then try and talk about it on stage and see, but you can't obviously do with a script, and that's exciting because it forces you to do a different thing.
Do you find whenever with your process that you'll maybe have an idea and you might go, oh, this would work on stage, and then you go, actually it doesn't, and then you find a home for it in a sketch?
Yeah, things like that. Yeah, but even sometimes what happens with stand up as well is like you'll think of something and it doesn't work, but then you park it for years and then you dig it out again. Like I have a bit, I don't really do it anymore, but I had a bit about Star Wars, and it was like about that I noticed that Luke's aunt is steaming lettuce in one of the scenes.
That's a tremendous bit,
right? Well, but the whole joke is like they live on a planet that's desert and like they have no water, but she's steaming away the water. So I noticed that about 2.5 years before the bit ever worked.
Yeah. And
then I went, that doesn't work because I wasn't a good enough stand-up yet. Yeah. And then later I went and it clicked and I was like, and then I think that closed like one of my Edinburgh shows.
Yeah.
And it always did well. And it still does well. It's one of those bits, where you're like, I'd love to get rid of it. But if I'm like, I need to do a bit that'll work.
You know what you could do to get rid of it? film a set and then make that a clip, get it cut up.
Yeah,
right,
see,
pop it on.
that
See,
actually
that's
is the secret, because you have to, like,
kill
the
it.
same with the bit I do about Van Morrison, which I shouldn't spoil because the whole joke is in
Yeah.
the punchline. But I'm so sick of doing it, especially because Van Morrison, not quite as popular as he used to be for a number of reasons, you know.
Yeah, he's a dangerous guy.
Yeah.
But you know what the thing about that is too? It's like there are bits that you fall back on, and there are bits that you know will always work, and then it's like it's a weird feeling. Like when I finished my hour last year, I was like, I had no plans to do anything this year, and then I found like getting rid of all the material and starting afresh it made me giddy again. I was like,
it totally brings all the excitement back.
Yeah, and I think that's what you need too, isn't it? To go out and try new bits.
Well, like Ronan and I did a new half hour each there in like a joint show in July, and that was a new. Well, it wasn't all brand new, but there was nothing that was any older than like January, and that was really liberating to be like, you know, and actually because it's a fear thing. It's like you go, well, I know that the set will go well if I do these couple of bits, because it always does.
Yeah.
Unless it's a bad gig, but if it's a nice crowd and all, this bit always does well. But so you're afraid to drop that in case the thing you replace it with is worse, and then you think, I look like a dick now.
I always I've got into the habit now. Like if I'm going away, say like you're doing a gig in like a GAA club in Mid Ulster or something. Not that there are many of those.
No, I was going to say no. But it's like North Antrim, really.
Yeah,
it's not.
You would do your like best bits because you go there and you're like, well, I'm just doing a show for these people.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing something maybe like in a comedy club, you'd be like, you know what, I'll try. I like the shit sandwich routine, you know.
Oh yeah, where you do a new bit in the middle.
In the middle and try to do that. But the writing side of it, like, because I didn't get to run my last hour, the amount I would have liked to, and I like to figure stuff out while I'm on stage, I noticed I had to be a bit better and succinct with how I'm putting the bits together.
Yeah.
And I'm reading a book about how to be a good stand-up that I always revert back to for wee tips and stuff.
Right, okay.
And it's like, do you look at what you... Because I would be terrible in the past for having a funny line or like a funny idea and then saying it, but then that's it.
Yeah, and not actually developing the idea.
So like I'm looking, why do I feel like this about this? What does this? And that's where
I do like a wee mind map occasionally where you go, what's the words that come to mind when you think about this topic? Yeah. You know, and actually years ago I remember Gaddis talking about that he had seen a thing that was like, if you're like walking the dog or something, just pick a word or an idea and just don't listen to music or anything when you're walking. Yeah. Just think about that thing for like an hour. Like
I get into that. Like, now you mention it, I think I have some notes here that I took on one of my dog walks last week.
Oh, here, good.
No, this is definitely not what it is. That's
Margarita Carney Napoli pepper and onion.
Yeah, that's what I got for the team on Saturday.
God, you're a good lad, a good boss.
So these are my notes.
Pity you're stiffing them and paying them less than minimum wage. Am I right? This is an expose. This is Watchdog.
So these are some things that my ideas were.
What?
Yeah.
So you want to read that out?
It says if you sit in the toilet too long, it's over.
What do you mean it's over?
So what I was talking about is how we're at an age now where your mind still believes your body can do certain things.
Right.
So I talked a bit about the stat, which I don't know if you know, that of men between their mid-30s to late 30s are the most prime susceptible age group for just rupturing your Achilles tendon. So
right.
So you can just do it. So the whole bit's about you no longer can go from first gear to fourth gear. You need a warm up. So I was talking a bit about that and about how I can't remember even. I did a show like on the weekend, I forget it. But there was a bit where I was saying that, like, for example, the medical side of things. So this is how you think. So I talked about you're waking up one day with just your testicles have lost all elasticity. You sit in the toilet too long and you stand up, and you've pins and needles. If you walk forward, you could break both your legs.
It's only like the last year, so I started to get really bad pins and needles whenever I'm on the loo.
But now you as someone with a wife who's a medical professional, my wife told me my wife's into the bones. She's a trauma coordinator. No way. And thankfully she's into chipolatas too. But she too sweet. No, too expensive.
Chipolatas are quite expensive.
They are. If you get the good ones,
the chorizo ones or whatever. Yeah.
But she was saying to me, in her line of work with broken bones and things, like a lot of people are getting broken legs from sitting in the toilet too long and then trying to walk and just go with pins and needles.
See, my wife's a midwife, so she's like, after 6 weeks I know fuck all. Yeah. So, you know.
But that now terrifies me. So if I get up, I will stand. So I did a wee bit there, but how awkward it is when you get up and if you stand and you try to, if your trousers and pants around your ankles, you're just trying to stretch it out, you know. So and that was that idea. And also the bit here, I do a bit about a neighbour who's better than me, and it was like, you know, you're not friends with them. So like, you know, your friend, like you don't even, if you're friendly with your neighbour, give them one of these. You know, if you're not, you'll, you know, just a
are we back of the hand? Are we back of the hand?
And you won't even look, no eye contact.
No.
So that was it on a dog walk. I was like, that'd be nice to just sprinkle into the bit.
Yeah, but that's it, because that's also the thing as well. I think it's being mindful that not every bit is going to be like, oh, this could close an hour.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, this is just funny for 5 minutes. You know, it doesn't need to be a world beater, but it's like, audiences enjoy it. It's fun to do. Yeah. And it's funny. It's like, then, you know, like, what am I trying to say even? You know what I'm trying to say, like, sort of, do you?
Because everyone's not going to be a closer. You know, and like you can have wee bits that maybe are set up, or like I remember I had a joke.
Or to tie into a bigger bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a thematic thing or whatever. Thematic, Jesus.
Like I had a joke that I just really liked, and I was doing it and it was always doing really well. So the last time I did my dad show, I was like, I'm going to try it to close because I feel it was my strongest joke. So it was about lessons I learned as being a father. I said, look, I've learned 3 lessons, things that have come out of being the first is that your time is not your own anymore. You should appreciate the time you have it. You know, you don't have whatever you used to have anymore. You just need to be appreciative of the time that you have. The second thing I learned is that I can cook up bottles with my eyes closed. Like when I'm asleep, I can cook up these bottles. And the third thing I've learned since being a parent is that I'm too heavy to hang myself. And that was the last joke. But then it takes people a second to go, oh, whoa, that's a bit dark.
That's a bit dark.
Yeah.
And I'm out of here.
Yeah. And then I'll be like, thank you. But I used that as a closer, and because it was probably
that's
one
great.
of my better jokes, it worked well. Whereas this one, I like the last 2 shows I've done have been a callback to earlier bits. And it just all depends, doesn't it, on what you do. But I just think that's the thing I do want to say. If anyone's listening to this that's a new up-and-coming stand-up, or that's relatively new to doing it, is don't rush to throw bits away. Don't rush to put clips out. Don't, like a bit, like you said, that
you can
Star
park
Wars
it.
Bit, you can
You're
park
no
it,
rush.
come back to it. And then see if you come back to it with the brain that's more used to forming bits or putting bits together, you'll maybe figure it out, and that's the exciting bit, I think, is figuring out the jokes.
Because that's the thing. You'll get sometimes like people go, oh, you can't joke about that topic, and you're like, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. It might be that you can't joke about that topic yet because you're not a good enough comedian yet to be able to deal with like a controversial idea without offending people, you know. And it's like, just that's we were talking about this beforehand. I was like, if I could tell that you comedian, it's like, just slow down a bit. It's fine. You're not in competition with anybody, and you're in no rush. Yeah. You know, I was 21 when I started doing stand up. Like, and now I look at a 24-year-old doing stand up and go, you're very young to be. Yeah. You know, it's not even happened to you.
But what also happens too, I think, is that you get to a point in your life where, like, younger people who are at different stages, you're like, with all due respect, I don't care what you're saying. You know, I don't care what your opinions are on that. That's now I'm not in that wheelhouse. You know, I don't care about the price of vapes. Don't vape, you know what I mean?
No.
It's like,
I don't vape. Fuck up.
But see if somebody's in and they're giving off about how shit it is to be married, now the kids are wee wankers and how everything's too expensive. I'm like, preach.
Yeah.
You know,
do you know what kills me though is comedians in their 20s like talking about being old, and you're like, you're not old.
Yeah.
You're barely young.
Yeah, shut up. You know, that should be the heckle. Shut up.
You're not in danger of breaking your leg having a shit.
No. But us
talk
guys,
to me then.
Yeah.
My balls still have elasticity though. So.
Yeah.
I mean, do you mind me if I ask how old you are?
36.
I'm 33. I look like shit for it, but my balls do not.
Yeah.
My balls are like a 33-year-old's balls.
Give it 2 years.
Oh, here, I'm looking forward to it in a way.
2 years.
It'll be liberating for my balls to match my face.
But,
you know?
Yeah.
See, my theory is I think I'll look decent at 50. Yeah. Because I'll look basically like this.
Yes.
But with grey hair.
You'll be like, fuck, you have aged well.
Yeah.
Like,
but actually, it's just I've looked 50 since I was 30.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, I have gone, like, I'm losing hair. The beard's going grey. I had a mate of mine who came for pints after the show on Saturday, and he was like, do you know I use a shampoo that dyes my beard a bit? I was like, no, I didn't.
Like just takes the grey out of it a bit?
The grey. I was like, alright, cool. And he's like, yeah. I was like, cool. And he goes, yeah, I'm only saying because you should really give it a go. I was like, all right, mate, cheers.
You're on a high after your show, and he's like, yeah, but you're now silver, not a silver fucker, really, not a silver fox.
Silver prick. But he is very, like, he's lost a good bit of weight too, and he's looking great, and it makes me sick. Because he's like, he's saying to me stuff like, oh yeah, no, I'm just going for a swim here, and he looks so great.
You see,
but you're like envious because but now I'm sitting with him going like, I need to now. Like, I joined the gym on Monday because I saw photographs of me on my show on Saturday. I'm like, right, it's got to change.
But like,
it's got to change.
Comedy is just an inherently unhealthy lifestyle. Yeah. Like, can you name many comedians in the local scene who you would say look better now than they did whenever they were?
Well, Colin's exactly the same.
Well, no, actually, I don't think he is. I think Colin looks better now.
Yeah.
I think they always wearing a hat and the glasses have like transformed his look. I think. Guy's a good looking guy, you know what I mean? I don't mind saying him. I mean, obviously, if I had to fuck one comedian, it wouldn't be him, it would be you. It would
be me, yes, thank you.
But, but I do, clearly, I have a type, you know, big husky
bears,
man.
Husky bears.
Shane, yeah, I suppose Shane.
Yeah.
But Shane's got that TV face, you know?
Yeah, he does.
But like everybody else, you're like, oh, you look worse.
Let's this is the Sly Guy podcast. Let's talk about people who we think who has aged the worst. I think I'm in with a show.
I'm in there.
But I don't think, because I think you look the same. I don't know
how to take that because I look like shit.
But I think I actually think you look a bit better these days. Like you're saying to me there, like you're
in comparison.
Yeah, but no, you were saying before we recorded, like you have a bit of weight off, you're feeling good, you're looking good. I think, and you know what? It's a great thing to see you back. I'm back at it. I'm back hungry to be on stage.
I am hungry. I've lost half a stone.
But as you look at some, like I think Rory Woods looks better now.
Well, that's because he doesn't have the hair.
Yeah,
although I will say, I remember there was a point, I think actually it's away now, but there was a point where, so when Rory started, he was like rake thin, and then he got a wee punch from gigging loads, and I was like, oh, comedy is inherently unhealthy. Yes. Even he has a wee punch.
Yeah.
You know?
But see, now I just look at him, I think he looks great.
Oh, no, his hair and all, 10 times better. Like, he's, me and Woods, like, we started on the same day at the same gig. Yeah. I'm like, so.
But you know, like, Woodsy's a good friend of mine, but I used to really hate him. Thanks.
Any particular reason, or?
Yeah, because at the start
vibe.
He wasn't like delighted to see me on the stage for some reason, and every time he was there, I ate shit.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, this guy's a fucking scud. He fucks me every time. You know, he's fucking me over, and I'm sick of this shit.
Right.
And although lo and behold, it was not his fault. It was my own fault for not being very good at stand-up, you know. But over time, you know, I
love him. He's a good guy, you know, and I'm glad, like, he obviously took a bit of a break there for a while as well, and I'm glad to see him back, like.
Yeah, so am I.
He's
but you know
very
what?
funny man.
I also think this is another thing that can confuse people. Sometimes stand-up is a different art than brand-up. It came up with that right there. So the actual art of stand-up...
Don't look right down the lens.
Yeah, the actual art of stand-up is not necessarily the brand or which you put out, but Woodsy as a stand-up, I think he is
one of the best.
You know,
and he's a guy who knows how to get loads out of a bit.
Yeah,
he'll have an idea and that'll become a 10-minute.
Yeah,
but I feel like my problem often is I'm like, that's 30 seconds because I'm not developing it fully.
Yeah,
you know, and he takes the concept and kicks the fuck out of it until he gets absolutely everything out of it that he can. You know. See, that's what you got to do. You got to look at that and 100%. You know,
because I think of one funny example and go, no, because I did a bit in the last show where I said about my wife saying she was, I'm lactose intolerant. I was like, why? She's like, I don't like the cream in that pasta bake. I'm like, well, that doesn't mean you're lactose intolerant. That means you're lactose indifferent. You don't you don't like cream. It's like I can't go up and say, oh, I'm diabetic because I don't like Diet Coke.
Yeah,
you know, I don't have alopecia because I dislike mullets. You know, it's so stupid. And then of course said, well, obviously they're the two diseases. That,
you do like skullets, though.
You know, I do. I love skullets, brother. But you know,
you do a good Hogan, don't you?
I need to practice again.
Oh right,
you know, it's been a while.
I remember you did a Hogan and McCann did an Austin with me one night in
what you gonna do, brother?
Yeah, you know,
that's good.
in the speakeasy. And I said that really weirdly. In the speakeasy.
In the speakeasy. Oh, do you ever do things to annoy people on purpose and it's funny to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my number one is with my wife. I pretend things are phones.
Yeah.
So if I just go, hello, and my theory is that if you pretend a thing is a phone, you'll always get a laugh.
Yeah. Well, what I do is say words wrong on purpose.
Oh, nice.
So we were visiting my great aunt who's up in hospital, not too well. Shout out Aunt Ethel if you're listening.
They're expensive. That's why you're not in a private hospital.
Yeah, enjoy the NHS. Yeah, I'll be banging a colander off my loaf for you tonight. But she was up there, she went to visit, and we walked past the renal unit.
Oh yeah.
And I, on purpose, said to my nurse wife, "The renal unit, what's?" And she was like, "Oh, the renal unit." And I was like, "No, it says renal." And she was like, "But it's renal." I'm
like Ronaldo?
Yeah, and I said, "But there would be two E's. Because it's a re, or an I instead of an E, or it's renal."
That'll be rhino.
Rhino, yeah.
Like your rhino?
Yeah, true. So I like to do that from time to time.
Yeah.
Or like enunciate words slightly wrong.
Oh, beautiful.
Emphasize the wrong. Like my mother, I think, has started to do it with age. And again, I think it's on purpose. Like I can't say what brand of water we're drinking, but it's Evian. My mum calls it Evian. I'd be like, don't. And she started saying, instead of saying Prosecco, like she's fucking Sean Connery or something, you know. Prosecco. And like, I know she does it on purpose. Like,
God, you know you were from Hollywood. Like she's fucking talking about Prosecco all the time, enough for you to notice the pronunciation.
Would you like some Prosecco?
My cousin's granny, so not my granny, you know, but like we're sort of related by marriage. We weren't even related actually. But she used to say versa.
Oh, what's that mean?
Instead of vice versa.
Oh, vice versa.
She's like, you can come here or versa.
You know, that sounds like she's has some sort of law qualification, and it's just versa.
Like QC.
Yeah. She's versa. Come on.
Myrtle Leesham, versa. That's her actual name. She's dead now actually, but you know, I suppose it's still her name, isn't it?
Well, my father-in-law told me a funny one there recently. He was away at a football match, and he was away with a friend, and his friends recently started like seeing a new lady, and she had invited him to a champagne conference or something.
A champagne reception?
Yes, a champagne reception.
A champagne?
But you know what? He got there and it was like full of like Michelle O'Neill and co. It was a Sinn Féin reception he'd gone to, a Sinn Féin event, and he had gone thinking like it was going to be a party, but it was just like a
so hold on, wait. So did he mishear champagne as Sinn Féin?
Yeah. So he turned up thinking it was just like a drinks do, and it was just like an Ardèche.
That's not real.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And as my father-in-law told me it, and like he wouldn't joke about something like that. So it's like, oh, nice, not Paddy, you know.
It does feel like a dad joke, though, doesn't it?
Because I was like, but then I did think to myself, I couldn't use that as a bit.
My father told me a joke the other day on the phone.
Okay.
He likes to tell me a joke, and everybody was disgusted with him, but I thought it was alright. It's like an old one.
Okay.
Like, right, so two nuns are on a train, and a guy comes in and flashes them. One of them has a stroke, and the other one couldn't reach. Hey,
I like that one.
That's proper old. Like
that's an old like a Gene Fitzpatrick number. You know, classic.
Who?
Google him. He's a little legend of the local scene. Respect your forebears, Alan. Please.
My granny used to have a CD. It was like Ireland. It was called "Please Welcome Ireland's Greatest Comedian, Dusty Young." Are you familiar with Dusty?
No.
Young? Well, exactly. But you'd see him the odd time on CDs. But like,
no, he Ireland's Greatest Comedian.
Dusty Young.
Yes, of course I know
Dusty
him.
Young.
Dusty Young.
The Cavan Dream. Yeah. Dusty Young.
He's got more nicknames than bloody LA Knight.
Yeah. That's when I do. Yeah, it's Metallica.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I remember it was him telling 100 jokes with canned laughter in between. Nice. But he acted like he was playing like Vicar Street. You know, it was very strange.
Dusty Young.
Nice. Dusty old now. He's fucking ancient.
Dusty Young, get him in the pod.
You should.
Yeah. He's Ireland's greatest. You know what I like about stuff? You can just make it up.
Oh yeah. Because who defines who Ireland's greatest comedian is? You know, do you go, well, who's doing arenas? But you're like, well, there's people that don't like the people that are doing arenas. Yeah. So,
but like
Michael McIntyre's massive. There's people that like Michael McIntyre. Peter Kay, there's people that don't like him.
Do you like Peter Kay?
I think that Peter Kay's first two DVDs are genuinely brilliant. But I feel like now to be fair, I don't know what he's doing on this tour, but the one that he did then is like his last one. It felt like a retread. It was like you haven't moved on, you know. But to be fair, I'm not doing 40 nights at the MEN Arena, so what do I know? Like
Dusty Young. Speaking of MEN, Michael McIntyre, his bit about Manchester's good. Have you heard
Which one's that?
About that Manchester's quite gay.
Oh, Man City and Man United. Yeah, that is good.
And they play at the MEN Arena.
I went to see him in like 2009. My girlfriend at the time was a big fan, right? And he was it was just as he blew up. He was meant to do the Whitla Hall, but then they moved it to the waterfront because there was such a big demand for tickets. Yeah. And the night before the show, he was doing another gig. And what are you laughing at? You laughed at the picture of Dusty Young?
Dusty Young.
Fucking hell.
Well, I mean, Dusty Young looks like... I mean, that could be a Johnny Tombola style pose right there.
Oh, it is. That's Johnny Tombola, yeah.
That's Dusty Young. Look at that face.
Maybe I could get him to open for Johnny. at the inevitable Johnny Solo show.
I mean, what I like is why has he got his PR photos done in the same setting as Vigo from Ghostbusters 2? No?
But also it looks like a school photo.
It looks like a school photo. Or Vigo from Ghostbusters 2.
It is very
you know
Ghostbusters
what would
2.
be funny? Imagine having like an actual prop of Vigo from Ghostbusters 2. Imagine just being able to whip it out like you had
fucking
Vigo
hell
from Ghostbusters 2 right there to show people. Do you like that? That used to be.
I don't like the way it looks at me, actually.
Yeah, that used to be in my house until Catherine moved in. And was like, yeah, we'll get rid of that.
Get rid of that, yeah. Fair
She was
enough.
like, it's very offensive. Like it's a wee bit frightening. And then she's like, and can you remove your other canvas off the wall? And I went, why? What's wrong with that? That if that's too aggressive, this is the exact opposite. Of course, it's Prince for everyone to enjoy. Yeah.
Also, that's very phallic there, isn't it?
And where it's rising from, sort of groin area. Yeah, Prince would make you have thoughts, wouldn't he?
Would he?
Yeah, he's very pretty.
Yes, pretty is the word, I think.
Pretty.
Yeah. So I went to see McIntyre. So he had the night before the gig, he fell and dislocated his shoulder on stage. So the gig was postponed. And in what?
Oh no, that's my impression of Michael McIntyre. Ooh! No.
I thought you were literally doing Uno, like the card game. Yeah. So it was postponed. So then, in the meantime, his first DVD came out. Mm-hmm. So he got up, started doing the set from the, and he got last, but not obviously what he was used to. Yeah. And he went, You've all seen the man drawer bit before, haven't you? And like he got people cheering the hat. So then he just did an hour like off the cuff that I've never seen any of the material before or since. But he just went on his feet, went, I'll do a completely different show. And I think that was the best. I've seen him a couple of times. And I think that's the best I've ever seen him, because I was like, you just went, I'll just drop this entire hour, and do a different show.
I love that from him though. But see, people like that, people be like, nah. But see, ultimately, when you get to that level, you have a past. Mm-hmm. You know, you've got all the experience.
Yeah,
of doing the clubs,
he was known for being a really good MC.
Yeah,
so it's like he's done huge amounts of crowd work over the years, and but it was like he's not really my cup of tea anymore. This would have been pre me doing stand up, but you can't. There's nobody doing arenas that's awful. It just doesn't happen. You're not doing arenas yet, Dave.
No. No.
But you know what I mean? It's like if you can get 5,000 people to think it's good, on some level it is. It doesn't mean I like it.
Yeah. And who would you be into at the minute? Are there any comedians you're watching you're like, not locally, just in general?
Do you know, I'm really not. I've got very lazy about watching it. Now, here's the thing. I've watched about 5 specials in the last month.
And who have they been?
Couldn't tell you any names. All I can tell you is they're all the ones that Aaron McCann recommends. Okay. A lot of Americans, where you're just like, and I watched a couple of, I watched one of, what do you call your man's on Have a Word? Not Adam Rowe. No, not Adam Rowe.
Dan
the other
Nightingale.
I watched one of Dan Nightingale's the other week.
I nearly did X Factor voice here. Dan
Nightingale. And I watched Lee Kyle had a decent one. Do you know Lee Kyle, the Geordie comedian? He's what's great is now people are just going, I actually cancelled Netflix a few months ago. So it's like it's on YouTube, And I'm like, that's the way to get your special out.
Yeah. I
cannot remember the name of the American guy, but they were brilliant. Black guy, he had two parts to it, 2 full length specials. I feel like it was something Ali. I could be totally wrong about that, but he was class. And I was like, this is, and he does his whole set sitting down, which I always think is a ballsy move. I can't do that.
Michael Shea? He sits down?
No, it's not Michael Shea. That's gonna bug me. I'll have to look it up.
Because I know Aaron McCann's favourite's Gerard Carmichael.
No, it's not him. No, that's gonna fuck me off.
I opened for a guy who has a Netflix special out. Big shout out to my boy Jared Freed. It's out. 37 and Single is the name of the special.
37 and Single. Yeah. That sounds grim. 37 and Single.
Do you know what?
Oh, yeah. Ali Sadiq.
Ali Sadiq.
Yeah, he has 2 parts. There's one that's both called The Domino Effect.
Yeah.
And like the first one is all about his.
That sounds like somebody.
He went to prison for drug dealing, I think, and it's all about that.
It sounds like someone in the North Down World Order would say about someone called Ali they didn't like. Ali Sadiq.
Why do we have that accent? We're in Bangor.
I'm a woman.
Oh, I don't like those sex noises. That's horrible.
Oh
no.
Goodness.
But that's what I love about stand-up. Is like that.
Cease.
that guy's like perspective could not be further from mine.
Yeah.
But you're doing the same. Like we're not doing the same thing. But you know what I mean. It's like comedy is like that's one of my like Ronan Linsky said to me one time. He's like, without comedy, you would never have had George Firehorse and Paddy McDonald in the same lineup in anything.
Yeah. Oh,
and you're like,
if anyone's listening, sorry, in Spain, Jorge El Fuego Caballas. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, it's like you get this weird mix of people, and I love that.
Yeah,
like that's why. Like I know diversity in comedy is like such a big issue, but the advantage it gives is that you're like, I can't imagine how that person sees the world because their experience is so different from mine.
Like even on a Northern Ireland level, people are united by being funny. And like there's none of that. There's no sectarianism. If there is, it's all done very much in jest,
tongue in cheek.
You know,
yeah, no,
it's like,
there's nobody on our scene where I've ever felt like, oh, they have a bit of a prejudice. You know, ever. You know. Well, tell a lie. There's been people who did 2 gigs and then fucked off because nobody liked them. Yeah. But you know, people from totally different areas and backgrounds and links to different things. You know.
Tim McGarry.
Exactly. Yeah. Imagine Tim McGarry on his island. That's all wrong.
When the plane
but he wore Daz cap, keep his head.
When the plane lands and the doors open. What's going on here?
But yeah, it's like that's the beauty of comedy. You know, it can be because it can be anything. You know, it's like I'm getting very philosophical here, but I feel the same way about wrestling as well. Where it's like people go, "Well, I like that. That if it's not that, it's not proper." And people do that about comedy sometimes.
Like John Cena, people are like, "He's not," but he's
because he's not stone cold. And you're like, but comedy's like some people go, "I don't like that. That's not proper comedy." And you're like, it can be anything.
Like, you know who one of my favorite comedians is, when I'm people ask like who's your, and you come up with a list, and you're like, you almost don't really be honest as to who you're. Cat Williams.
Oh yeah.
I have watched Cat Williams and nearly cried laughing sometimes.
But sometimes
as well, what I have in common with him.
Well, that's the thing. Do you not find some of your favourites like I adore Tim Vine?
Yeah,
and I can't do one-liners at all.
Yeah,
never even any time I've ever attempted, they've been terrible. But like, I've been to see him in Edinburgh and all a few times, and he's just gag, and I'm like, that's amazing. But also, I like people who do a 10-minute story. It's like, you know,
it is so subjective, isn't it? And it's great.
But that's the beauty of it.
The beauty, and you know what? I feel like that's a perfect way to close out.
This is like an Edinburgh show. It's had a theme, has it?
Yeah, and we started off. We're talking about the Northdown World.
We're talking about pus.
Talking about pus. I mean, and here we are talking about weeding out the pus on the scene.
Amen. And just leaving the beautiful, soft, supple skin.
Yeah, like a baby.
Like a baby's out, like my great arse.
Yeah. And my non-existent horse. I actually had to buy seats. Well, I say I did. My wife did. Seats to go to watch because I complained so much about going to see the party in the park in Bangor last year. They do a thing every.
Right.
Once you join the team.
Yeah.
Full time being, they have music in the park every Sunday. It's lovely. You go around and sit with a picnic and all. My bum got sore because my pelvic girdle was just being pushed into the hard ground. So my wife went and bought me a wee seat. So
that's lovely.
Tremendous. I used it at the beach last week.
I have really bony knees, so if I get down on my knees, fix a toilet or something,
or get a gig.
Well, exactly. You know, as I told you, you got to hustle, quite literally. My knees are so bony that like that's painful, but I can sit in my arse, no bother. You know.
I just couldn't. If I just lie like a sea lion on my belly. Is there any way I can be comfortable?
Do you ever notice that? You're like, you know that you've gained weight whenever you're like, oh, I can't lie on my stomach anymore because I can't breathe properly.
Oh, I noticed the other day when I was lying flat on my bed, I can't lie like this because my tits are suffocating me. Like they're actually pressing on my arteries.
And you know, that's the thing. You like, we all like the idea of being suffocated by a pair of tits, but not your own. Not your own.
By the way, I'm stealing that. That's going to be definitely going to do that. That's a great.
That's fine. Thank you work away.
See it here. We've got the agreement. We're going to do that. Yeah.
We are fellow members of the Northdown World. As soon as I get my release from the World Woodstock Federation, I'll be down.
Yeah, but do you have to do a 90-day non-compete clause?
Yeah, but that's just to get the mortgage.
But you know what I will do? We'll talk locations. I'll be out now, like Phil and his parents. We will go out and I will find.
Does that mean me, Kirsty?
Well, yes.
Do we have an unspoken sexual tension?
We will have an unspoken tension.
And I'm awful on Twitter, quite right wing.
And I will find you a property.
Beautiful.
There we go. So if anyone doesn't know, where can they find you?
Well, Twitter is Alan at Alan SR Irwin. SR. That's Sierra Romeo.
Yes, Sierra Romeo.
Alan Irwin Comedian Instagram. A couple of podcasts.
Yes.
I have the Stupid Sexy podcast, which I host with Heather Anderson. That's all about the bad era of The Simpsons. And then I have The Worst There Was, which I host with Ronan Linsky, where we talk about terrible eras in professional wrestling. So if you've managed to stay tuned in through all the wrestling chat, It's your kind of bag.
Listen.
And as we said, Johnny Tombola out now is on BBC Sounds.
And anything else you want to plug? Were you hear any shows coming up? Or you're back in the scenes?
Nothing big. Hopefully there'll be a new hours for early next year. That's the plan.
That's
so
called Rage.
Rage, yeah. And also me and Ronan run a gig called Kill Your Darlings in the Black Box once a month. It's usually 5 or 6 like established comedians doing brand new material.
I'm going to do a bit about being suffocated by tits.
Brilliant. You can, I'll book you any time, big fella, you know. So
see,
yeah,
the
come
only
down.
awkward thing sometimes me is because you know yourself, Catherine works alternate weekends, and it's a bit of a bollock.
Just
for
when it falls.
childcare,
But if you're ever free, you're more welcome.
I will.
You know, but it's been running nearly 7 years now.
Do you know what the last gig I did on a Saturday afternoon in the Black Box was? 10 out of 10. A live podcast.
I was there.
Yeah.
Only I was there.
You were 100% of the audience.
Didn't even pay in.
Oh, tremendous. No, but it was docked from my fee, so fuck you, you know.
Fee for that gig. Grow up.
Oh, Alan, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
No, it's been
Too
an absolute
expensive.
pleasure. Pleasure anytime. Thanks, man.
I'm the sly guy.